What's up YouTube, Dara here from Zephyr Wargames, bringing you what you've all been asking for, and that is a link-ready Pendulum Magician deck profile. Now, the idea of changing this deck around is basically you just need cards in there that help recycle from your extra deck, because what you've got to remember is Pendulum Magicians do a lot of searching and can absolutely flood the board from hand. Pendulum Summon is only affected coming from the extra deck. And in that sense, the Magicians haven't really felt that big of a hit because they can still do massively well special summoning from the extra deck quite easily. Special summoning from the hand quite easily, and then being able to create the link monsters that they need to then maybe next turn come out of the extra deck. But without further ado, I'm going to crack straight into it and I'll explain what we've got and why we've got it as I go through. So, we'll start off with the 8 scales. Triple Black Fang Magician. Now, next to him and Venom, they are two of the best. Now, the reason they're two of the best is he brings back any dark spellcaster from your deck. From your graveyard, and you special summon it from the field. That's just insane. You can bring back any dark spellcaster that's been properly summoned and that can be special summoned correctly. And then by doing so, they don't go back to the extra monster zone, they go back to the main monster zone, which is incredibly important. Not to mention he then halves your opponent's attack, which is just insane. We play 3 Skullcrabat Joker. Now, 9 times out of 10, you're not putting these in the scales unless you're absolutely desperate. You're normal summoning him to get the search of the 8 scale anyway. But you play 3 Skullcrabat because you want to be searching. You need, this search is pretty much out 99% of the deck, of the monsters that is. And he's massively helpful. Your combo is going into Time Star. Search, you can search him out, normal summon him, search out another scale or whatever you need, and then kind of push from there. Triple Harmonizer Magician, this is what keeps the deck going and why it's so strong. Because you Pendulum Summon her from hand, she special summons one from deck, and then you're going into an Omega. You can bounce your Omega off, which is going to come back into the main monster zone, so then you free up the extra monster zone. The plays are just endless with her, and she's so important in the deck, which is why you play her at 3. If you don't open her up in your opening hand, you still have ways to get her with Pendulum Call, with Skullcrabat Joker. You know, you always want to be searching this girl out, and you always want to have her in hand just to make this play. And then double Iris Magician. The reason I don't play at 3 is because number 1, obviously I want to try and balance out the scales a bit more. And 2, I've only got 3 targets for him. He's not the most important card in the deck for me personally, which is why at 3 was a little bit too much, because like I said, sometimes you want to put him in the scale, but your stronger ones in the scale which make your opponent more worried is Black Fang and Purple Poison. Obviously Iris is a little bit slow, which is why I've only put him at 2. Now onto the 1 scales. Like Black Fang, you have to play 3 of this guy. 3 Purple Poison Magician. It's that pinnacle. It's so good. When it's destroyed, it pops 1 face-up card, and then during the battle phase, you can pop this card, give your monster an extra 1200 attack, and then pop another card. It's just incredible. You can clear your opponent's board. And what you need to remember as well is it just says when it battles, not that it needs to battle an opponent's monster or anything. So when you do a direct attack, you've got to remember you can pop this. If you're 1200 short, you can pop this, give the 1200 to your monster, and your monster crashes in and goes up an extra 1200. And that is the difference between game and, giving your opponent a turn to survive. Now this scale kind of counts as both, which is Wisdom or Magician, purely because you pop him and go into your other stuff. Now, he's still quite important because what you've got to remember is you can Pendulum Summon out your full hand of 5, and then Wisdom I can go into the 6th scale because he's in the extra deck, so you can actually fill the board with 6 monsters, which is incredibly important. Now obviously you don't want to be looping this guy and filling up your extra deck too much unless you've got a link monster on board, but he's still very important in the deck. Double Astrograph Sorcerer, again really important because 9 times out of 10 he's more of a hand trap than anything, and you're going to be special summoning from hand. So when you activate one of the Pendulum effects and pop those, what you've got to remember is when you pop those, you can then go Astrograph, special summon him, search out another one of the scales, complete the scale again, and kind of go from there. So if you haven't got any in your extra deck and you've got the space or you've got a link monster on board or anything like that, you just go bang and bring them out, and you that's what the circling ability happens. And then again, the next important card which you play, you have to play this card because it helps recycle your extra deck monsters back to your hand, which is massively important, is Oath Dragon Magician. Now you can play him at 3, but I found at 3 it was a little bit cloggy. I want to see him, and again, if I'm going to be searching off a pen call, these are the 2 that I'm going to make sure I want in my hand. Now I do need to test a little bit more with 3. 2 just kind of seemed the right amount. I was seeing him when I wanted to see him. And he helped out massively in the deck, and this is what keeps the deck going and keeps the deck live. But obviously what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be opening up with too many big monsters that you can't get out, especially when they're both 1s and 2s. But again, always want to make sure you either have him or Harmonizing in hand. And then going down, we go with 2 Dragon Pulse Magicians. Now, the reason we play this guy is, number 1, because this scale effect is actually quite nice. You discard to pop a face-up monster your opponent controls. But secondly, because it's a vanilla, it can get you into Link Spider. And it's an 1800 beater. So you can Pendulum summon out Dragon Pulse or normal summon out Dragon Pulse, go into Link Spider, and then you start unlocking a few plays and kind of go from there and probably push for decode. And then we wrap off the Pendulums with 1 White Wing Magician. Now again, this is to balance the scales back out. So as you can see, I've got 11, 8 scales, and then I've got, what have we got, 3, 6, 9, I've got 10 1 scales, well 1 and 2 scales, and then you've got the 3 5 scales, which can kind of like pretty much be either. So you kind of want to keep your scales balanced as best you possibly can, because you don't want to be opening up with the 1s. But like I said, in Magicians you search so much, it's not the end of the world. And then wrapping up the monster account, we play 2 Fairy Tale Luna. Now this card is absolutely amazing because I want to play it at 3, but by playing it at 3 I then lose a scale, and I want to keep my scale ratio just about right. But Luna is so damn good. If you open up with Luna, you normal summon Luna, use her effect to search out the other Luna, bounce this Luna back to hand, bouncing an opponent's monster, and then Pendulum summon both of them back out, and you've got double bounce during either player's turn, which is just so much disruption. Your opponent, like, they have to be very, very cautious with what they put on board, because they know at any moment you go Luna, bounce, bounce. And then wrapping it up, I'm only playing this guy because we can play him at the moment, and he doesn't, all he's costing me is 3 extra deck spaces, and that's triple Blackwing Gofu the Vague Shadow. Now, you can play Allure of Darkness in this. If you do play Allure of Darkness in this, then it's a lot better, because these are never a dead card. You just clear it off and off you go. And you can play Allure because you've got all these dark targets up here. I think the only ones that aren't dark targets are Oath, Wisdom Eye, White Wing, and Dragon Pulse. So and Luna, sorry. But Blackwing is just too important. If you open up with Blackwing, you've kind of then extended your play straight away, because you just go Blackwing straight into a Link Spider. Straight into Link Spiders, then go into a Decode Talker, and straight away you've unlocked 2 extra deck spaces, so you can then double Wisdom Eye. You can fill up your extra a little bit more without worrying too much. So Gofu can be really, really important in deck. It's not pivotal. You don't have to have it in here. I just feel with the ability to have it, it works really well. And then you can pitch it off of Pendulum Core if you need to as well. He just helps, because he's a 1-card Decode Talker, I just feel you're better off having him than not having him basically in the deck. But it's down to personal choice. You don't have to play him. You could, like I said, take these out for Allures if you wanted to. Anyway, that's it for the monster count. As you can see, quite a hefty monster account, but they all serve their main purposes. They all have reasons why they're in the deck and kind of what they offer to the deck. Now we move on to the spells. Triple Pendulum Call, again, like I said, it's just impervious. It's such a good card in the deck. You pitch 1, search out 2 scales. So, I mean, you could have an extra deck ready, or maybe Link ready, or anything like that, and then you activate Pendulum Call, pitch just a dead card you don't need, get your scales ready, and just go bang, 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 and you can kind of fill up the board with your extra deck monsters as long as you've got the Link ready, or you could just get anything out that you might need to help extend your plays. Double Duelist Alliance. Now, because I've taken out Luster Pendulum from the deck, it's got less targets, but it's still very, very important, because, I mean, you open up this, you search out your P-Call, or you search out the other spells and traps, such as Star Pendulum Graph, and obviously the trap Time Pendulum Graph, which is massively important and incredibly strong in the deck. We then play double Cosmic Cyclone and 1 Raigeki. They're pretty self-explanatory themselves. And then our trap lineup isn't that massive. We play double Time Pendulum Graph. It's just so strong. It's incredibly strong, especially under P-Call. The fact that you then go target, pop, and then send 1 is incredible. You can just send double cards from the field. Not to mention, if you then pop a poison with it, you pop poison, you pop one of their cards, and then you pop another. So this can easily be a 2-pop, if not a 1-pop, and send. And the 1 Solemn Warning, because that is just, it's the out to absolutely everything. Now onto the extra deck. Now this was the tough part of the deck. This is what was hard, trying to get this right. I've got the 1 Supreme King's Arc in it, because you can make it still. Whether it's as reliable or not in the deck, it's kind of a very, very nice late game. I mean, if you get an astrograph on board and your graveyard's already full up because it's late game, he can be very, very good, and it can change the course of the game entirely. So I'd rather have him and not need him than need him and not have him. Then we go into the rank 4 engine. So we've got the one Tornado Dragon. Again, I've got to love this card. I love it so much. It can drag out the strikes. If you've got two Pendulum monsters on board, make this guy. It's either pulling out the strike or you're going to pop the strike. So it kind of helps your Pendulum moves as well. One Abyss Dweller, because graveyard effects are still a thing, and Abyss Dweller is just massively important, especially with like Light Swarms getting their reprints and stuff like that. Utopia and Utopia the Lightning, because 9 times out of 10 he's only a one-use card anyway, and you're using him just to beat over whatever you can't deal with. So again, you kind of really need him in the deck. Performance Trapeze Magician. This could be very, very helpful in clearing like any extra deck monsters you don't need on the board anymore, or let's say you've got a Link Spider that you don't want anymore. You can activate this effect, target Link Spider. Link Spider can do double attack and then it gets popped, so it helps clear what you might not want on the board anymore, but its main effect is to go for game. It can help you OTK very, very easily, and it's such a good card. It definitely needs a rarity bump from rare. And then we go with 2 Time Star Magician. This is probably your go-to card. If you don't go into stuff like Omega or any of your Synchro straight away with Harmonizing Magician, you kind of make Time Star purely because he's the search and then he's the protect. Having him on board with the trap as well, Time Star, is very, very important. Time Pendulum Graph, purely because you use the effect of Time Pendulum Graph, target one, target another one, then use his effect to send one from your deck to the graveyard, and then you just go, cool, I'm going to pop that monster of yours, and then I'm going to send that monster of yours, and I've kept everything I've got, and all I've done is fill my graveyard up ready for Zark. One Cypher and Omega, the most broken card from the extra deck to the field in Link format, purely because you just go effect, banish one from your opponent's hand, you freed up your space, you fill, so let's say you Pendulum summon out Harmonizing Magician and 2 more cards, right? I would personally say go into Omega, banish one from your opponent's hand, and then go into Time Star. Time Star's effect, search, and then you've got the protection going as well. Omega is just too damn good, because then when it comes back in the standby phase, it comes back in a main monster zone, so you haven't lost anything. One Bill's the Diabolical Dragon, because it's incredibly strong against Dracos, and it is still quite strong against other generic decks as well. So it's a very, very interesting one to go into. Probably more so if you're either trying to stall the game out, or you're trying to sit on the monster, or you just want to get a big beater that can't really be destroyed, you put him out. Ignista, like, I've tried to kind of think myself to take this out, but again, it's just too good. It's the fact that it's a non-targeting spin. Sometimes you don't want to destroy cards, and it's very, very important. So it actually helps out massively well. One Stardust Dragon, because when you make this, you tribute this off, it comes back in a main monster zone. So it's kind of like a Mega, just not as willy-nilly as you wish to make it. A Stardust Dragon is obviously more important. Protect scales and stuff like that. And then we play, obviously, the 2 Link Spiders to use with our Gofus and our Dragon Pulses. And then the final Deco Talker. Now, Deco Talker is actually quite important, believe it or not, which is why I like making it. Anyway, that's it for the extra deck, and that's it for making it Link-ready Pendulum Magicians. I hope this helps, I hope this gives you some ideas. Like I said, I'm just playing around with this at the moment. It's probably going to take another turn when we get the new Spellbook card from Code of the Duelist, because again, that pitch and draw is actually quite helpful and can help probably focus you more towards Zark, but again, that's really dependent on what you need. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share for so much more. And until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. If you like that video, why not check out our other videos available? We've got more deck profiles, pack openings, and of course, duels. And don't forget to click on the most important button of all, that subscribe button, right in the bottom left-hand corner.